Hey guys, Hayden from Black Bear BBQ here today, and we're going to do Australian grain-fed beef rib style. So the beef short rib is just a beautiful, non-scary cut. Don't be scared of buying a big lump of meat. Your family's going to love you for it. Look at this, Aussie beef, marbled. It's just delicious. I promise you, you cannot stuff it up. So here we go. So the idea is we've got to allow the smoke to get into the beef. So to do this, we've got to get rid of the silver skin that's on top of the meat. So to trim that off, it's pretty easy. I usually start by halfway. So we go halfway through, just under the silver skin there. Point the knife slightly upwards and go with the grain. That exposes the meat that you want the smoke to get to. We go the other way, take that off. You can use the offcuts for burgers, trimming, all this sort of other products. So after you get the first big bit off, you just go around, get the rest of it off. Don't be afraid to cut that fat off. Okay, so we go to here, just under it, just like before. That one. And we do this to every single one we serve. So there's a lot of time involved in getting things right. You got to make anything you put in the smoker, you got to have aerodynamic. What we mean by aerodynamic, we want a nice smooth surface. We want a Ferrari of a piece of meat. So the air goes over it quick. We get a lot of air movement over the top of the meat. It's more efficient for wood, more efficient to cook, and it gives you a lovely smoke ring at the end of the day. So we just trim it up, round edges if we can. And any pointy bits hanging off like this, we take them off because they're only going to burn up. So that's looking pretty good to me. Next thing is you flip it over. Now you've got to remove this whole membrane like any set of rack of ribs. You can get your fingers under the beef stuff. It's just the boring part. All right, so it really depends on the rack of ribs, but not always. You can't always get all the membrane off. Some membranes are different to others, so I'm quite happy with that. We'll serve them in individual bones, so we slice down it, so you're not really chewing on it, but it's allowing the heat to get through that really hard fat on the inside. So after that, we'll just go around and just make sure there's no little sticky outy bits. Nice sharp knife helps as well. Okay, so we're happy with that. We move on with the rub. Now we use a dry rub here at Black Bear. We use a 70-30 mix, nice cracked pepper, not too powerful. You don't want to do the ground stuff. Now the grain size is most important when it comes to beef brisket and beef ribs. So when we're rubbing, we want to finish on the top. So we start on the sides and we work our way to the top, get a nice even coverage on the top. And don't be scared either to put as much on as you want. So we start just like this. So you get a nice even coverage on these beef shorties. And again, we don't use a binding material, we just let the beef speak for itself because we've got the best beef in the world. So Aussie grain-fed beef is the best, there is nothing better, except for when your friends and family tell you how good you are as a cook. All right guys, so once we're done seasoning our beef, it's time to put it in the smoker. Get our smoker up to 135 centigrade and we're off. So today we're using ironbark as a smoker and we've got a bit of cherry dust I think in there which will put a nice little sheen of redness over it and it adds to the flavour profile as well. You cannot hurt these babies, so you can put them in the hot spot, you can rush them, you can treat them mean and they will treat you just fine. So here we go, we'll just put it in. We'll put them in towards the hot spot on this one. So believe it or not, this fire is raging. It's up to temperature. We've got a nice thin blue line of smoke and we don't want a whole heap of smoke coming through the smoker. We don't want that because it leaves it bitter. So we want nice clean burning fire. Vintage ironbark we're using with a little bit of cherry for a little bit of flavour profile. So here we got beef short ribs. They're going in and we should see them in about 6 hours. Check them out. We'll probe them. Maybe bait them. We'll see what happens. But they are the best things to cook. You've got to try them. time to check out these beefies. Let's go check them out. They've been in there for 3 hours. They should be looking good. We're not going to spritz them because of the grain. I think the grain fed lends itself just to have its own juices in there. We're not going to complicate things. We'll let the beef talk for itself. It's such a good product, so let's go check it out. Look at this. Check them out, guys. It's perfect. It's like we fluked it again. Look at that. Is that not the best set of beef ribs you've ever seen? And they're not even finished yet. So I've got to work on the color a little bit more. We want a darker color on the bark. The bark's looking good. Yeah, so what are we at? We're at about 80. So what we want to do, it's got another 20 or so degrees to go. But apart from that, I couldn't be happier. It's a great product. Grain-fed beef, only way to go. Okay, guys, moment of truth's come. Beefies, I reckon, will be bang on. All right, so there's your beef rib rack. Look at that, Australian grain-fed beef rib. Now, I tell when they're done by simply just pushing it in. Yeah, I don't even have to look at it. If it probes, like they say, like butter, that's what you want. So if the probe goes in, it can go in sideways if you want. It's like a big meat marshmallow. So what it is, it's 210, which is 99 in Celsius. So that's what you want. Now, it'd be a good idea to leave this rest for about an hour. So take it out, wrap it up, sit it on the kitchen bench underneath some tea towels or a towel or something. But for this purpose, we're going to get straight into it. Let's chop them up. Just chop down. Ah, look at that, look at that. Through that membrane. Check it out, guys. Look how much fat's in them. So there you have it, guys. We've got nice, juicy, succulent beef ribs. You'll never forget the first time you cook your first beef rib and you bang on. It's such a different flavour, and it just shows off the beautiful flavour of the grain-fed beef here that we've got in Australia. Go out and get yourself a set of racks this weekend and get into it. Put it on a smoker, put it on your kettle, put it in the oven if you have to. But whatever you do, get into your beef ribs before I do.